Good evening. This time I'd like to call the January 14th Zoning Commission meeting to order. Let the record show that all members are present. At this time, I'd like to open up the floor for nomination of chairman for the 2009 calendar year.
Mr. Chair, in the interest of expediency due to the length of our agenda, I'm going to go ahead and, since we don't have any rules, I'm going to make a motion to nominate Alan Krause as chairman and Sherry Slyman as vice chair and handle it as one action.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Julio to accept nomination of Alan Krause as chairman and Sherry Slyman as co-chair for 2009. Seconded by Bob.
I'm going to move to close nominations.
Hold on. Second. Nominations are closed. Hearing no other nominations, then chairman will be myself for 2009 and Sherry Slyman co-chair. Thank you very much. I appreciate the honor and look forward to working with you this upcoming year. This time I'd like to open up the floor for public comment. Anyone in the audience wishing to come forward and talk on any item not on the agenda, please come forward. You'll have 3 minutes. No one wishing to come forward. Item number 5, acceptance of the minutes from the December 10th meeting.
Amended meetings?
Yeah, we do have
Motion to
amended.
accept the revised minutes.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Michael, seconded by Bob. Any opposition? Item number 6, old business. Update of the master plan. Ricky is not here, so Julio, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, the update is that, as we indicated before, there was an RFQ that went out. 17 responses were just received, being reviewed, and what have you. The idea, in the meantime, they've been working on a request for proposal, a formal proposal, by invitation. So those 17 will be called into, up to 5 candidates, and then those will be invited in to actually respond to a formal RFP. They have not been reviewed. They'll all ultimately come before us, but that's the process. That's the progress that we've got. They were received 17 responses to the initial RFQ. All of them from national firms, had an enormous amount of interest for it, and what have you.
Anyone have any questions for Julio? And obviously, that's CPEX is assisting greatly in that process, and we look forward to working with them. Item number 7B, Bronco Fabrication.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Dave Roberts. I'm the CEO, President of Bronco Fabrication, as well as Excel Group, large engineering construction company that's been in Ascension Parish for approximately 20 years now. And I guess what I wanted to do, this subject with Bronco and Swamp Road has been before you several times since we bought the property from Cowboy Steel, I guess 2 or 3 years ago. And just so you all know the history, when we bought the building, and I wanted to come before you personally, I didn't want to send an advocate to talk on my behalf. We bought the building and the property from Bronco Steel and had plans to continue operating as a fabrication facility, and we're not aware, and Ms. Lyman and I have exchanged conversations about this, or we've talked about this before this commission before, of all the zoning issues that that surrounded that property. So my plan was, as a businessman, when I bought the property, was to expand it and into a larger fabrication facility, which meant adding more buildings, having more people down there, having more trucks driving in and out of Swamp Road, which is, as you know, and I'm sure the people that have been down that road, is pretty congested. Since we've been there, and in light of all the obstacles or problems we run into on Swamp Road. I'm kind of rethinking our expansion plans down there. And I know we put forth a plan, a 5-year plan, expansion plan down there before the commission that included adding other buildings to the property and doing the things that I had originally intended to do. And including, this last, and I think it was approved by this commission, I believe, proposal to add a warehouse office addition on that property. And I guess where I'm at as the owner and the guy that's responsible for all the chaos down there, sort of, I guess, am looking at that as a business person and saying, do I really want to spend, those kind of dollars and resources in that area and create any more problems down there? And that's kind of where I'm at. And I know Joe Wiley came before the commission, I think in December, November, to talk about the modular office trailer that we have down there, which would have been resolved if we'd have built this office building and warehouse. But the reason it's not resolved is because I have decided not to build it at this time. I'm looking for another location right now. It will probably be outside of the parish. But, and I said from the very beginning that, we've been in Ascension Parish for 20 years. I'm going on 20 years on the Airline Highway right there across from All-Star Ford. We're a big employer. I've always tried to do the right thing in the parish. I've never had any problems with politics or this commission until I bought the Swamp Road property, unfortunately. So kind of where I'm at today, I'm asking the commission and the chairman to work with us on that property. I'm of the opinion, and it's coming down to dollars and cents and what makes the most sense from an investor, that expanding that Swamp Road property is not in the best interest of the neighborhood. I do, and I want you to work with me on the fact that we've got a large investment there now in the property and the buildings. And if any of you knew that property before we got involved and spent the money we've spent, it was a lot worse looking than it is right now. We've painted the big building. It used to be an ugly galvanized color. We put a new roof on. We've done a lot of things to kind of make it more aesthetically appealing from a curb standpoint. So we're trying to be good neighbors. In fact, I've told my guys to get rid of anything that doesn't look like it needs to be down there, equipment or junk or whatever, because I don't want to have an eyesore down there that the neighbors and the residents on Swamp Road have to drive by and look at every day. So I guess why I'm here today is we received a demand letter November, December to move the modular office building off the property, and with a stated penalty imposed if we don't. I have nowhere for those individuals to move right now, and I have I guess what I'm hoping to be able to do is reach a middle ground with this commission and the residents on Swamp Road to make a commitment not to expand that facility, not to add any more people, not to build any more buildings, but to keep what we have down there right now and clean up what we have, continue to clean up what we have. And I'm asking this commission to allow me to keep that modular office trailer there, in which if you drive, I went by and looked at it today, it's behind the little office building we have. It's not an eyesore. It's underskirted. It's got a handicap ramp to get in and out of it. It meets the building codes. I just need to leave it there until I figure out where I'm going to move those people, and I'm asking this commission to consider that. And I know I saw the minutes of the last meeting. We have been back and forth. Are you going to do this? Are you planning to do that? Some of that is because I've looked at that, that whole situation down there and said, it's hard for me as a businessman to make that kind of investment down there when it's not in the best interest of the people that live on Swamp Road. And that's why we've been back and forth. If we hadn't had the problems that we've had, the opposition that we had, I would have probably already expanded everything we have down there. but I'm looking elsewhere to do that, and that's kind of what I'm here before the commission to do. And I hope you understand. It's sometimes, you know, 5-year plans are 5-year plans, but a lot of things can happen. In this case, you know, we had a lot of issues with the neighbors on Swamp Road. You know, 6 months ago, you know, the economy was booming around the country, around the world. Today it's not. So things change, and it's not as cut and dry as, well, you told us that you'd do this 6 months ago and you're not doing it now. In my business, it's not that way. Could we have built out the property like we wanted to? I think we could within our rights, and follow the commission's ordinance. But I don't think that's in the best interest of that area. So that's why I'm here today, just to ask the commission to be patient with us, allow us to leave that modular office building there for some period of time until I can find another location. Now, we're not ever going to move off the property completely. You know, we've got an investment there, but I don't intend to expand it. I don't intend to build any more buildings. We are cleaning, like I said, the equipment up that needs to be cleaned up to make it look as appealing as we can make it look. But that's what I'm here before the commission to do, to ask to. And I think we had done that in the last commission meeting, to ask for an extension on that modular building, and that's what I'm here to do today. And with the intent that, you know, we're not going to build that building that we had gone before the commission to build. We're going to leave everything kind of as it is and not expand it. So by not expanding it, the traffic problem won't be any worse than it already is. The congestion won't be any worse than it already is. And I think that at the end of the day, it'll be better for the folks that live down Swamp Road and for the parish.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Roberts, got
Yes.
a couple of questions for you.
Yes, sir.
You're talking about moving possibly outside the parish. So, I mean, I'm assuming that you've already started looking at some properties or looking into.
Well,
some
we
different-
are. We actually have looked at a facility in the parish too.
Okay.
But right now, you know, with all the national economy and everything that's going on, we're not sure what we're going to do. But if we expand, it will probably, there's what I've seen in Ascension Parish, there's not a lot that suits, you know, what we're trying to do. So we would probably go to a little more remote area outside of the parish if we can find a place.
But you have
And
not-
possibly out of state.
Right, but you haven't purchased any property yet?
Not yet, no,
Okay.
sir.
How much of your business are you looking at relocating? In other words, what are you going to leave on Swamp Road?
Well, what we're going to leave is what's on Swamp Road now. We're doing fabrication there, and the original plan, the 5-year plan that we had, showed us adding another fabrication wing building, which would have doubled the size of the fabrication area we have. I think it showed building another warehouse storage area, which would, I think the 5-year plan over the 5-year period would have included adding 2 or 3 buildings. And you know, with the conditions on Swamp Road, the road's too narrow, the turn in and out of Perkins is too tight. It's just not. I mean, it's just not. Doesn't make good business sense. So, you know, where I'm at today as a businessman, to answer your question, I'm trying to figure out what the national economy is going to do. We know it's going to slow down at some point. So, you know, we're trying to figure that out and blend that with what we're trying to do on Swamp Road. But what we're going to do on Swamp Road is keep exactly what we have. We're not going to expand it. So what you see out there right now is kind of what we're going to have.
But there is the possibility of even reducing some of the operations out there, depending upon the economy. I understand, but I mean, there is the possibility of even reducing some of the operations out there if needs be.
You know, I'd hate to say that. I think what you see, we're running right now about, I would say 75% capacity on that property in fabrication. So I think that's what we'll continue to do. You know, and again, it depends on what opportunities we run across. If we run across a property that better suits our needs, you know, we would probably move some of that business over there. But I guess what I'm proposing and trying to be as forthcoming with the commission as I can, what you see there now is what we'll keep there.
Well, more importantly, I think the question is the modular building.
Yes, sir.
Let's assume that you find another property and you're going to move some of your people to that other property and you're going to continue this operation. What are you going to do with the modular building at that time?
We're we're going to, one of the things we're in the process of doing is my office on Airline Highway, we've got some warehouse area, and then we're gonna close in. We're trying to get the drawings and all done to do that. So some of those folks will move over right around the corner to my office on Airline, and the rest of them, as we find another piece of property, we'll phase that trailer out, that mobile home, that modular office out completely.
And then also
So
we
I
get
guess
remote.
what I'm asking for is some period of time to do that, and I guess if I could look in a crystal ball, I think before the end of this year we will have that modular trailer out, if not sooner.
Let me ask you a question. Would you be willing to agree to come and give the commission, just, obviously without divulging any confidential information, a status report of how you're coming along, during the course of that year? I mean, you're saying 12 months to the end of December of '09. I think the commission would still like to know, well, what's your progress, coming along? This has been around for a long time, and I'd have to rely on staff, but if my memory serves me right, the last time your advocate was here and we went through this whole, I was under the impression he was asking for an extension, but when the question came up, maybe some of the other commissioners can clarify my memory, but I thought he specifically said, no, I'm not asking for an extension.
No, he did not.
At that time, no, he was not
He
asking
didn't
for an
ask for
extension.
extension.
So
And
really
at
that,
time,
that, I
Commissioner
just,
Demis, at that time, we were still going to move forward with that construction. And I sat down and looked at that whole situation in the minutes of the last commission meeting, and just looked at the opposition down there, and I made a business decision not to build the other building. That was a $600,000 or $700,000 investment that, that it's complicated enough down there. There's enough problems. I don't need to complicate it anymore. So we decided not to do it. And so now, kind of the plan would have been, Commissioner Dumas, would have been build the building. I think we had whatever time frame we had originally for the modular building. Build a new office building, move it out, and we'd move the people into the new building warehouse that we built. But again, I've been looking at that whole situation, trying to figure out, how we can move forward. And I made a commitment to this commission and to some of the residents down there from day one when I found out we had zoning issues down there, that I wanted to be a good neighbor. And that's kind of the conclusion I came to, I guess, after the last commission meeting, was I'm not going to build a building. Doesn't make sense to make that kind of investment on Swamp Road where there's enough problems already. And that's why I'm here today. I'm not going to do it, but I'd like to extend the modular building. My goal, and to answer your question, Commissioner, I would certainly be happy to come before the board or the commission to give you an update. My goal, and I don't want to make a commitment on time because, but I think I understand the sense of urgency about the modular building. My goal, I've already got someone working on drawing up the plans for the expansion on Airline Highway. My goal would be sometime between now and mid-2009 to have that modular building out. Depends on how quick we can get the drawings, get it approved. I think the expansion I'm going to do on Airline Highway is a lot simpler. It's a building that's already there. It's a matter of getting it approved by you guys, and of course the fire marshal and everything. And then it's a build out basically. The building's already there, the infrastructure's already there. It's a build out. So I think talking to my my engineer and my contractor, I think I can do that probably 0 to get finished. Everything goes well, probably the next 3 or 4 months, and I'm moving full steam ahead to do that. And then as soon as that's done, we'll move the modular building out. But I'd be certainly willing to come before the commission and give you an update on where we are.
When you're talking about 3 or 4 months, is that taking the weather and other variables into consideration?
Well, it's a build out basically. It's inside. We've
Okay.
already got in the back of that property. If you see my property on Airline, we've got a big building back there right now, and about half of it is 2-story office, and the other half is a warehouse that we basically don't use. So I'm going to take that warehouse in, and I don't think weather will be a big factor. 'Cause it's all the shell is already there. It'll be indoors.
Yeah, but the only thing I caution you with that aggressive plan is that if you're just currently working on drawings, by the time you get through the state fire marshal and you get through the permitting process and what have you, those 3 or 4 months are going to go
It's
very
probably
quickly.
Right,
9
that's why I'd ask
Well,
for a
it-
year, and then
yeah.
if we can get it done, my goal is to get it done as soon as we can.
Well, and that's just it. If this commission were to go ahead and say grant you 1 year, 12 months, that doesn't, I mean, I know you understand. You don't.
Yes.
That's not at the end of 12 months. Then you start. And if you finish earlier, you finish in 6 months, okay. I just want to make sure that if we do grant you an extension, that we give you enough time to take care of everything that you have to without any upheavals to your business. I know you've got existing contracts. You're keeping people employed, and but there's also certain things you're going to have to do as far as with the fire marshal and your drawings, and
Right.
there are things that can happen
Certainly.
that you don't take into consideration that eat up your time.
Yeah, and that's why, I was thinking about, what the right amount of time is to ask for, and that's why I figured, and again, my goal is to get it out as quick as we can. I know we don't want it down there, and I know it's a problem. If I can, as quick as I can get that build out done and get an occupancy permit to occupy it, I will move that modular building out. The odd thing, and I'll tell you this, Commissioner Marchand, is we could move that building out and it could sit there. It could sit on my property. I just can't occupy it. So if the eyesore is always going to be there, in fact, I can disconnect the power to it, not occupy it, and it could sit there.
Mhm.
So it's not like it's going to go away. I'm just asking for a little bit of time to resolve. I guess I'm throwing myself under the train and asking for, a middle ground. I'm not going to do any more work down there. I'm not going to expand the property. I'm going to continue to use it as it's being used right now, and not expand or grow it. If you folks could help me work on trying to get the thing resolved with a modular building, so that we can kind of all work to that same goal.
Mr. Robert, I had a
Yes,
couple
sir.
of questions to staff. I mean, we've got a letter asking to put on the agenda. This is obviously for discussion purposes and information purposes. I mean, are we in a position where we're going to take action tonight, or are you intending on advertising this and putting an application with a formal request before us, or what?
This does not need to be advertised. This is a business park review that goes, if it would have been the business park review, what it was, it doesn't have a public hearing.
Okay, so we can actually take action tonight?
Yes, sir.
And without a formal request or anything? Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we weren't
I'd like to ask-
overstepping any procedures.
Before you jump, I'd like to ask Mr. Roberts a question. A while back, I don't remember if it was you or a representative came and asked about adding bathrooms to your building, and the commission said, yes, by all means, we don't have any problem with you adding bathrooms.
Right.
But I believe there were some other things that I thought that y'all had said you were going to do that didn't get done, maybe a fence across the front. And now you've got this big building pad, and y'all knocked down all the trees to put the building pad in, so now you've got this big bare spot. Should the commission make a motion to allow you to leave the building, is there anything you can offer to encourage the commission to do that? Instead of just asking, can you give something back?
Well, I think, Commissioner Slyman, I guess what I'm trying to do is reach a middle ground with you. We came in with a big plan and made some concessions. That was my advocates. Put a fence up, plant bushes, do all these things to beautify the property in an effort to expand the property. To build 3 more buildings, to add another 100 people down there, 75 people, to appease the commission to let us do that. And yes, what my plans are, and I drove by your property today, and I know exactly where you live, and it's an eyesore. But the reality is, I guess, the property is being used for what it was intended to be used for. I can clear the trees, I can do all that, and it's an eyesore for you. I recognize that, and and I feel for you living right there by it. There's nothing I can do about it. But what we're going to do is, we've cleaned up all the debris that was out there from cutting the trees down. We're going to go ahead and do the fencing, clean it up the whole area, put some limestone over the pad, and try to dress it up as much as we can. But the wood fence, the shrubbery, all the stuff that was talked about was part of the 5-year plan to expand the property. And I guess that's what I'm here today to tell you, that I'm not going to expand that property. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be better for you. I hate that we cut the trees down because it's an eyesore for you to look out your back door. But we're not going to expand the property. The property's going to stay pretty much as is. The unfortunate thing about it, that property and the investment I have in it, for me as a businessman and anyone else that I'd ever want to sell it to, only has value as a fabrication facility. That's the problem with it. If I could close it down and sell it and get my money back out of it and somebody else buy it for something, then I would probably consider doing that. I don't think that's going to happen because it was a suitable business for fabrication. That's why we bought it. But I guess I'm here today to try to work it out, and whatever we can do to get that done, and I'd be willing to do. But I did make a commitment to you from the very beginning that I would like to be a good neighbor to you and to the residents of Swamp Road.
Well, I mean, I think we have some circumstances now that has changed. Things have changed a little bit. I'm going to make a motion to give you a 12-month extension, and I'm going to ask you to come back before this commission 4 months from now to give us an update on what has taken place, where you're at. And that's my motion.
I second.
All right, I have a motion by Michael for a 12-month extension with the condition that return in 4 months to update us on the progress, and it's seconded by Bob. Any?
Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
you're basing the motion based on the proposal that Mr. Roberts presented this commission, correct?
Correct.
But we don't have that proposal in any form other than the verbal discussions here, correct, staff?
The verbal discussion will become a part of the minutes. The minutes will be voted on by this commission next month and will become legal, and that, to me, that's just as binding as if you had a written presentation. That is what he has come, he has made his presentation to us, and he has offered, he's told us what he's going to do, as well as, I mean, not just the written minutes, but we're also going to have this, we're also going to have a tape. This is, we've got the video footage. So I think that at this point, if he does not do what he says he's going to do, then we have more leeway, or just as much leeway as if he would have given us a written presentation.
I guess in 4 months, if you want to have some
I don't.
paper
I'm just,
documentation.
what I was going to suggest to you is that maybe you word the motion that based on the presentation tonight and the discussion made today, you make this motion so that at least we link the two together in a more solid way, because there is nothing other than the presentation. I think this is the first I've heard of it, and
Well,
I think it sort of like comes as a complete surprise.
And I don't mind amending the motion to read based on the presentation and the discussion at this meeting.
All right.
Second, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Commissioners, I'll come back personally in 4 months and give you an update on where we are. And again, my goal is to get it out of there as quick as we can.
All right. Thank you. Any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
I'd like to personally encourage you to stay in Ascension Parish, though.
Yep. There's plenty of good places around.
Thank you.
All right. I would like to thank Mr. O'Neill Parrington for representing us quite well over the past however many years. Thank you for your service, and welcome, Tony. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you. I look forward to it also.
Thank you. And number 7,
Motion.
Second.
we're adjourned. Thank you all.